Hello everyone, welcome back to the Capsule in Conversation. I'm Natalie Anderson and this week I'm joined by specialist dietitian and fitness instructor Nichola Ludlam-Raine as we talk how to keep our hormones in check, nutrition for better mental health and staying safe post-lockdown. So fill up your cup, sit back and get ready to join in with our conversation. Has food been integral to you as well, to your mental health and your overall well-being during this time? Because I spoke to you right at the very beginning of the lockdown and there were so many foods that weren't available that just flew off the shelves. I mean, how have you navigated that?
Yeah, so I think at the start of lockdown, it was really tough and it was quite emotional, really, because everyone likes their own routine and likes to have the foods that they love, and suddenly not being able to get those foods, or in order to get those foods, you have to put yourself in an unsafe environment, was really hard. I think now, luckily, we're coming through it. And I think what's been key for me is that I've always included the foods that I love. So I eat chocolate every single day. I live by and promote the 80-20 rule. So if you're eating nutritionally most of the time, it's perfectly fine to indulge, because if you ban foods from your diet, you just end up craving them more. So I think we've got to be kind to ourselves, but in addition to that, focusing on what things we need to be eating more of. So we eat our 5 a day, so plenty of colour for things like vitamin C for the immune system. Having a balanced plate, so a third of the plate carbohydrates, a third vegetables and a third protein. And then keeping snack times really interesting as well. So I have a mantra of protein and produce, for example, cheese and apple, yogurt and berries, nuts and dried fruit, or hummus and carrots. And it just keeps it nutritious and interesting as well.
Fats can really affect your hormones and, there's quite a big connection there. What kind of food, if we're trying to keep our hormones balanced as women, what kind of things should we be eating to regulate ourselves throughout the month?
Yes, I mean, you mentioned fats there. Fats are really important because they help us to absorb the fat-soluble vitamins, which are A, D, E, and K. So healthy fats, like I mentioned before, your avocados, olive oil, feta cheese, as well as nuts and seeds are really good. But I think in relation to your hormones and your energy levels and how you're feeling throughout the day, I think regular meals is definitely key. If you're lacking in energy, then you might want to look at your iron intake. So things like red meat once or twice a week is fine. Or if you're having things like beans, apricot, fortified cereals, which contain iron, make sure that you're having them alongside a source of vitamin C, for example, a small glass of orange juice or peppers, tomatoes, because the vitamin C helps you to absorb that iron. And finally, I think if you are suffering from like peaks and troughs of energy throughout the day, go for your whole grain carbohydrates, which release their energy more slowly, and eat them with a protein, with a fiber, so that you get a relatively slower release of energy throughout the day. And I think also, I think there's a big trend at the moment of cutting out dairy, and there's no need to cut out dairy if you can tolerate it. But if you are going for the dairy alternatives, make sure that it's got iodine in it. So iodine is crucial for your thyroid function. And there's only a handful of brands who fortify. So I think there's Oatly, there's the Marks and Spencer's own brand, and then there's Cocoa Super. So as well as the calcium, make sure it's got iodine in it, which dairy has got in abundance, as well as white fish.
And something else that we've heard a lot about recently, I've heard this so many times, is the connection between obviously your gut and your mental health and brain. I mean, how important is that side of things between your gut and the digestion, and how that's affecting our moods? If you just run me through a bit more about that actually as well.
Yes, it's a really interesting area. And so when you're feeling anxious or when you're feeling butterflies, it's because you're getting a bit of an adrenaline rush, and your body goes into fight or flight mode. So all of the blood is diverted from your stomach and into your extremities to basically help you to get away. So your legs and your arms. However, when we're anxious, it's often because of something psychological. It's not because there's a tiger about to eat us and we need to run away. So if you are feeling anxious, it might cause problems with your digestion. I think a lot of us are eating on the go or having lots of things like fizzy drinks and chewing gum, which can cause bloating. And again, problems with digestion, especially if we're eating too quickly and we're not chewing our food well. So I think that comes back to making a meal out of a meal. So sitting down, putting things like your phone away, turning the TV off, chewing your food well, and really focusing on what you're eating, and including things like, well, your pre and probiotics. So prebiotics is food for your gut, so things like lots of fiber, and then your probiotics are live bacteria, so things like fermented sauerkraut or like miso soup, or even just like the probiotic drinks that you can get, or live cultured yogurt. So including those throughout the week if you like them. And I think the main thing for gut health is variety. So having lots of different plant foods throughout the week. So lots of different colors, fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, whole grains. So as you've probably seen by now, there's a bit of a theme, and healthy eating isn't complicated. It's just taking it back to basics, including some of the foods that you love, but lots of nutritious, colourful food for the whole.
And I'm right in thinking, aren't I, Nichola, that, we can have frozen vegetables as well. We try obviously to go for everything that's as natural as possible, and you're ready to kind of eat, if you go to the greengrocers. But if you are busy, and you are struggling, and you have to be time conscious, frozen fruits and vegetables will still suffice.
Yeah, and actually some frozen fruit and vegetables actually contain more nutrients than fresh because they're frozen at the peak of after they've been harvested. So things like frozen berries, frozen peas, they've actually got more vitamin C in. The key though is to not overcook them. So lightly steaming or even using the microwave helps to preserve nutrients. And also tinned and dried fruit and vegetables count as well. And it's really good to keep a stock of them so that if you do run out of your fresh veg, you've always got a backup.
Over the past few years, we've started to see people actually turn towards things like veganism for a healthier lifestyle. And obviously that's got huge benefits in terms of like reducing carbon emissions on the planet. But from a professional point of view, do you think that is the healthiest way of eating for our bodies? Or is it a bit of a fad? Or, what's your professional opinion on it?
So I would say if you like to eat meat, fish, dairy, there is no need to cut it out from a health point of view. I think if you want a balance and you want to eat more plant-based foods, you could have a go at meat-free Mondays, cutting down on things like your processed red meat, so things like sausages, bacon, gammon, but you can still include fresh red meat. I think what we have to remember is that even though some of the studies say that a vegan lifestyle is healthier, what we know is that people who are following a vegan diet tend to exercise, not smoke, and eat like very well, like from a 5 a day point of view. On the flip side though, deep fried chips and sugar are vegan. Sitting on a sofa all night watching TV and smoking are vegan too. So you can have a really unhealthy vegan lifestyle. So yeah, I would say don't cut out things if you enjoy them.
So for you, what would you say is the most beneficial, I'll say lifestyle way of eating? Because I hate the word diet. Diet to me makes me so cross, and it just has so many connotations with it, doesn't it? How do you feel is the best approach to eating? What do you think it is?
Yeah, and I think when dietitians use the word diet, we just mean it like all the foods that you're eating. But I think one of the best ways of eating is the Mediterranean style diet, which if you look at it, it's full of lots of fresh fruit and vegetables. It's got small amounts of meat and seafood in it. It's got whole grains. It's got small amounts of dairy. So it really is balanced. And the Mediterranean people, they tend to eat as a family. So it's not what we're eating, it's how we're eating it. And they also, get outside into the sunshine, which does wonders for your mental health and your vitamin D. And if you're outside walking, then that's really good for your endorphins. So I think it's not just looking at what you are or aren't eating, it's how you're eating it. And it's the other lifestyle factors that are going on. Things like stress is really, really crucial as well.
You're a specialist as well in bariatric surgery, diabetes and weight loss as well, and maternal obesity. Now, just tell me a little bit more about that side of your work, because that's obviously, it sounds incredibly interesting, and I just wanted to hear a little bit more about what that entailed.
Yes, so I work for the NHS as well as a private hospital, and bariatric surgery is basically it's surgery for obesity. So the gastric sleeve or the gastric bypass, it basically involves surgery to make your stomach smaller, so you feel fuller with smaller amounts of food. These are major surgeries, and they should only be looked into if you've tried everything else. For some people though, they give people a new lifeline. You know, if you're 25, 30 stone, bariatric surgery can be life-saving. The other area that I work in, so diabetes can be an unfortunate consequence of carrying too much weight, especially around the middle. So in order to prevent diabetes, losing weight can help, getting better sleep and moving more can help as well. And I mentioned sleep because if you're sleep deprived, then the next day, you're not going to probably want to go out for that run or go to the gym, and you're probably going to be reaching for sugary foods or not be motivated to make a healthy meal. And then the final area that I work with is in maternal health. So basically working with pregnant ladies, making sure that they're eating enough of the nutritious foods and avoiding things like alcohol and too much caffeine and things like that. So yeah, I absolutely love my job. And yeah, I love the variety that it offers as well.
In that side of things, Nichola, do you find that so much is about people's relationships with food and how it becomes such a comfort for them, and people fall into cycles of, you know, whether it's an addiction or whether it's a replacement for something? There must be a lot of psychology that goes on with that as well. I mean, is that something that you found with your patients?
Yeah, so we work alongside psychologists in bariatric surgery and diabetes, and I'm directing a lot of people at the moment to the NHS 1U website. So if you just Google NHS 1U, because they've got some fantastic resources on stress management, anxiety management, because often, like you said, we are turning to food for comfort, which is perfectly fine. But if that's your only coping strategy, then you might want to look at alternate ways to cope. So things like, you know, getting outside or making connections with people, and also mindfulness. I think you said that you were really anxious at the start of lockdown, and I can really empathize with that. I think one night I was so anxious, and I think the amount of adrenaline that was going through my body, I called my husband and I said, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to calm down. And I actually followed a girl on Instagram, and she just posted a 10-minute mindful routine. She talked you through it, and I just laid down outside, and I felt amazing afterwards. So that's something that I advocate to my patients and that I want to get more into, because I honestly believe that in the future we're going to be talking about food, activity, sleep and mindfulness. It is one of the pillars, and it's going to be talked about more widely in the future.
I mean, your Instagram, how you've grown both of your Instagram channels, you know, Nick's Nutrition and Mummy Nutrition, it's been so helpful to so many people. How do you juggle that job? Because obviously people don't really understand sometimes, I don't think, with Instagram actually how much work does go into creating social media, and you know, the beautiful images that you create, whether it's in food or whether it's you and your little boy. How do you manage to be so organized? I mean, what things do you need to do?
Yeah, I think you're quite right. I think my mummy nutrition page is quite different in that it's not just a mummy blogger page. Every single post is research, and I talk to experts, and every post does take hours. I think it's a battle, and I think I don't post daily, so I post 5 times a week across both accounts. So 3 on one account, 2 on the other. And I think I've just got to keep in mind, like, what am I passionate about? So I keep my motivation up by posting about what's relevant to me, and my Instagram forces me to learn. and I learn so much from my followers. So for example, today I did a post on my toddler's scooter and the fact that I want to get him a balance bike, and already in the comments there's loads of comments from people who've got balance bikes. So I think it's what I receive keeps me motivated and keeps me going, and that then like adds to my life and the quality of my life with Henry.
Oh, well, Nichola, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you with me today and to get all of your amazing advice. I hope it's been helpful for you guys too at home. For more from Nichola, you can catch her at her Instagram pages, Mummy Nutrition and Nick's Nutrition, and also visit her website, www.nicksnutrition.com. There's plenty more amazing advice on there. You can also catch up with us and our previous podcast episodes at the In Conversation page of our website, or by subscribing to any of our podcast channels and YouTube. Do leave us your rates and reviews, as we do love to hear from you. And as always, if you're in need of a fashion and beauty fix, you can also check out our regular fashion, wellbeing and lifestyle content at www.thecapsule.co.uk or by visiting our Instagram page. I will be back next week with another very special guest, but all that's left this week is to say goodbye. And so it's goodbye from Nichola.
Goodbye, thanks for having me.
And goodbye from me.